Hello, everyone. This is the CrimsonCure, welcoming you to the Crimson Tower, a place where we keep a feminine foot on the neck of the gynocracy, feminism, and black male misandry. So go ahead, pull up a chair, stay a while, and listen.
When I'm training for professional competitions, men and women always ask me for advice. To women, I say push yourself harder than you ever have before and go beyond your comfort zone. Focus on your goals. Men, if I am willing to push myself to become Mr. Olympia in 2022, then I only have one thing to say to you. Bring your A game.
Here we go again.
Hello there, my Crimsonites, and welcome to the CrimsonCure channel. I am, of course, your host, the CrimsonCure, and as usual, we're just going to jump right into the topic. And the topic today is dating with a purpose. And again, this is for my younger ladies, but if some of my more mature ladies need to hear this, by all means. And so what am I talking about? Dating with a purpose. When we start dating, we're growing up in a society that doesn't put any value on committed relationships, especially for young people. This has been going on for a few generations, where the concept of promiscuity, casual sex, just sort of the hookup culture, and all of these sorts of things are the norm now. It's expected. There's very little or rapidly decreasing value placed on committed relationships, all up until a woman is at a little bit of an older age and then wants to settle. She gets tired of the carousel riding. She starts to feel the pull and the drain on her spirit, on her vessel, and she wants to settle down. She wants to get into a committed, a more serious relationship. She wants a man that's gonna take her seriously, that's not just out to have sex with her and not just out to get what he gets and she gets what she gets and then they part ways. So there's not a lot of value on committed relationships, and by turn, there's not a lot of value on family building and the family value, or us creating lasting, functional families. But here's what I want to talk about. I want to tell the ladies that you should always date with a purpose, and that purpose should be getting into a committed relationship or a marriage. Now, some people would say, well, CrimsonCure, I don't want to be married in my early 20s, or, I want to be free. I don't want to be tied down. I don't want to be, I just don't want to be in that. I'm doing other stuff. I'm going to school. I'm doing all this other stuff. And as a woman, those excuses don't really fly, because we don't get tied down in relationships. That's not really what women do. Women don't get tied down in relationships. The reason why the concept of being tied down applies to men more than it applies to women is traditionally because men are busy pursuing their purposes when they are young. And so getting married in their 20s is more than likely a hindrance to their ability to fulfill their purpose, or to build themselves as men, to build their masculinity, to build their manhood, to gain leadership skills, to put in place systems, order, and structure for their own lives, something that they're going to need later down the road. They're always going to need it, but especially if they intend on getting married at some point, getting a family at some point, they need their system, order, and structure. And that actually takes time. It takes men time to do that. It's very rare for a man in his early 20s to already have such a system and have that system work. Usually, even if he's building that system, it's flawed, and he has to, live life a little bit so that he can understand why his system and structure is flawed and how to fix it. So men actually get tied down in their young ages with the responsibility of a woman, of children, of a family. But for women, that term doesn't really work for us, because we don't get tied down. We get cuffed. And when I say cuffed, I don't mean the hookup culture cuffed. I mean, you get a man that takes you seriously, and you don't get that drain on your vessel by riding the carousel. Okay? You get to be able to put your energies towards a family with a man who was ready for that. So we don't actually get tied down. Things like going to school, women can, for the things that women go to school for, we can always go to school later in life. We don't really need to go to school early, because we're not building a system, order, and structure. We're not, the things that we go to school for, I can go to school for now at 42. If I wanted to be a psychologist, I could go to school for psychology right now. Psychology is not some sort of strenuous work that I need my youth for. Whatever I go to school for at this point, if I chose to, would not call for me to have something that I only have in my youth and not so much in my older age. In point of fact, the things that women go to school for, we actually do better at when we're older, because we're more mature. Supposedly, hopefully. So those types of excuses, well, I don't want to be, what we're really talking about, ladies, when we say, I want to be free. You want to be free to deal with multiple men and not have to commit to one. And this is something that I've said before, that the so-called, the HOE phase is masculine. Okay? The HOE phase is masculine, because it's a masculine way of approaching dating for fun and not for commitment. That's actually something masculine. That's something young men will do, because he really can't afford to date for marriage, depending on his age and level of maturity. He's not really ready for that. Most men are not ready for commitment in their 20s. Not a serious type of commitment, not a marriage. They don't have what it takes. And that's not calling them out on their manhood. It's just that it takes a lot for men to be proper husbands. It takes time for them to gain the skill sets that they actually need. Okay? But for us as women, we can get, a lot of our skill sets are intrinsic. When we take a look at the Valuable Woman series, these are basically our skill sets. Our personal market value is just who we are. That we come ready with that. That's default. I mean, we can always work on ourselves, and there's always room for improvement on who we are, and, cultivating our personalities and things of that nature. But that's sort of intrinsic. Our belonging market value becomes intrinsic. It's our interaction with our families, which we grow up with, which is something that we start with in life. And then that only expands out into the greater community or the circles that we run in, okay? Which sort of becomes intrinsic, because it's based on your personal market value. How well people perceive you, how well your reputation is, and all of these sorts of things actually branch out from your personal market value. So that's also can be counted as something intrinsic for us. Our friendship market value might be the only thing that not necessarily intrinsic, but it still branches from your personal market value, because your friendships, the way you carry them and who you're friends with, actually speaks to who you are, because you will have friends that are like-minded. Okay. And so our sexual market value, we can watch. That's also something that's rather intrinsic, although it doesn't necessarily branch from your personal market value, right? So when we take a look at that, we're actually ready for committed relationships much earlier than the men typically are. Okay. We're ready for those. So when we say, oh, I just want to be free, and you just want to be free to, explore, which is basically going into a HOE phase, which is a masculine way of doing things. You're really not in your feminine energy when you don't date with a purpose. When you date with the intent of just, having fun and experiencing different men at different times and all of these different sexual experiences, it actually hurts us, because depending on how we do that exploration as women, we can actually set ourselves up for failure later on when we do attempt committed relationships, because if we have too many varied different kinds of sexual trysts and experiences with various different men, and that number goes up, it actually sets us up for not being satisfied with one man, because we have trained ourselves to desire more than one or a multiple number of men in short amounts of time, short periods of time. So we haven't really trained ourselves to be under the leadership and under the flag of one man. Because when we're doing all of this dating and floating around, we're actually not putting ourselves or not allowing ourselves to be placed under any man's leadership. And when we're not under the leadership of men, which actually brings us order, we are under the leadership of ourselves, or we're following behind other women, and that's chaotic. Because women don't produce order, we produce chaos. Because that's what we are. That's who we are. And there's no shame in that. We just have to understand that that's what's going on. And so if you spent the first 10, 15 years of your sexual activity as an adult training yourself to desire and want to be with multiple men, that one man comes along, and this might be why some of you guys' expectations are so high, because you want one man to embody 4 or 5 different men, the qualities of 5 or 10 different men, because you like the quality of him over here, and then you turn around and like something that this other guy had, or something this other guy had. So you want an amalgamation of the men. You just kind of want to mishmash the different parts of these men together to make this one so-called perfect man. And that doesn't work. It's not going to happen. That's not even real. So you're going to have to knock it off, because that's not something that is going to happen. So always date with the purpose. That purpose should be marriage. I don't care if you're young, because we've got the young ladies having children, and being a wife and having a kid. Come on. You're already taking on a tremendous amount of responsibility being a mom. And it's silly at this point in the game to be a single mom, because in 2021, you don't have to be, because you don't have to birth a child that you don't want. Whether you agree with the methodologies of birth control or even abortion, whether you agree or disagree with those things, they exist in this country and illegal. And you can do them, and you have access to them as women. As women, we have access to that. All sorts of birth control, even something so simple as a condom. So any woman, especially any young woman, having children in 2021, these are children that you want, and that you're purposely bringing into the world in whatever situation you're in, whether it's ideal or not. So if you can make a decision to bring a child into this world under non-ideal circumstances, why is it such a hard thing to believe that you'd be ready for marriage at this point? So I just wanted to drop that on you guys. What do you guys think? Should women date with a purpose? Should there be, no strings attached, at any time? She should be able to do what she's doing. And then later on, when she's, 33, 34, 35, and she's tired, she should be able to settle down with the man of her dreams. I want everybody to sound off in the comments with this one, okay? All right. So with that being said, I'm going to get on out of here. But I want to thank everyone for coming through, for listening. And I'd like for everyone to like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. There's awesome content always on this channel. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye-bye, Crimsonites. Hey guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And if you've got more to say on the topic, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor who so graciously supports this channel by clicking the description box and the link for A-Game at agameherbal.com. You can go ahead and get a 10% discount off of your next purchase using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another CrimsonCure production, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.